Guys, welcome back, Bushcraft family, with another video, and wanted to get the brains speaking and thinking again. Too often we get distracted by things that are happening in the world that will not help you during bad times. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because 2020, we had some issues with supply chains and this and that, and I covered quite a bit of it, especially the ports and stuff. Experts, those guys, saying that we're due for another one, and it's not because of a pandemic or something. It could be, but it's because of other things that are happening in the world at the moment. So I thought I would, smack you upside the head and remind you of days gone by, when we went to the store and there was hardly anything, depending where you were at, supply and demand, they supplied the bigger towns and stuff first. But if you're in smaller areas, we didn't see as much stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. Could your town survive a supply chain shutdown? Everything's shutting down. And that would, no trucks running for 30 days, no gas trucks, none of that kind of stuff. No deliveries, no grocery stores. Our grocery stores aren't restocking anymore. No fuel shipments. No Amazon. During that time, Amazon was cheap in some regards to some of the stuff you get. Nowadays, it's not so much. But this is the big thing here, because we didn't get any help during, the 2020 stuff. But nowadays, would your community pull together or just fall apart? Today, we're taking a realistic look at what could happen during a month-long supply chain shutdown. And more importantly, what you can do to prepare now. Okay, we're going to start right off the bat. Most people never think about supply chains, even though it's only been 6 years. The next, or basically, they think that when they walk into Walmart, the shelves are completely full. When you stop at the gas station, go to the pump, it's full. We're spoiled in that matter. When you order online, the truck shows up in 2 days, which that 2-day thing hardly ever works anymore. But here's the actual reality. Most stores don't have months of inventory sitting in the back. Many grocery stores receive deliveries every single day. Gas stations rely on fuel trucks. Pharmacies depend on medicine deliveries. Restaurants need constant food shipments to feed people. If those deliveries stopped, everything would begin changing much faster than most people realize. Week 1, empty shelves. The first few days probably wouldn't seem too unusual. People would assume deliveries were simply delayed. Another truck's coming in, don't worry. Then word would spread. The shelves begin to empty. Milk, bread, eggs, baby formula, bottled water, pet food, over-the-counter medicines. Within days, panic buying would likely make shortages even worse. That panic buying, people will freak out and just get everything that they can see. We've seen similar behaviors during emergencies. The problem isn't always shortage itself. It's how quickly people react and think supplies may disappear. Fuel problems. Let's talk about this. Once fuel deliveries stop, everything changes. Gas stations begin running dry. People rush to fill up their vehicles. Generators consume stored gasoline. Businesses depend on transportation begin shutting down. Even emergency vehicles could feel pressure if fuel supplies become difficult to replenish. No fuel means fewer deliveries. Fewer deliveries create even more bigger shortages. It becomes a cycle that's hard to break. Week 2. By the second week, restaurants begin closing down. McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, all shut down. Not to mention your mom and pop restaurants and stuff, because they don't carry a big supply of stuff. Pretty soon, road construction and building of the house on the corner slows, if not stops. Factories reproduce production or reduce production. Medical supplies become harder to obtain. You're starting to worry, will I have enough prescription to last? This is why we instead of 30-day supply, we get 90-day supplies. Auto repair shops waiting on parts. Animal feed becomes scarce. And I'm not just talking about your cat and your dog in your house. These are animals for meat and dairy and stuff like that. Small businesses struggle to stay open. Some families are already running low on food because they've never expected this situation to last very long. Stress starts replacing confidence. Let's move on to medication and health. One area many people overlook is medication. Some prescriptions can only be filled for a limited number of days. If deliveries stop, people with chronic medical needs could face difficult situations. Basic items like pain relievers, bandages, antibiotics, medical gloves, cleaning supplies, all become more valuable. Preparedness isn't only about food. It's about protecting your health. Let's move up to week 3. Oof. Things are probably looking scary for some people. By the third week, your town begins showing its true characters, or character, I guess. Neighbors who know each other may share resources, depending on your neighbors. Churches may organize meals. Local farmers might help nearby families. Volunteer groups could step in. And you notice this is could, should, you know, that type of thing. Volunteer groups could step in. Could. But there could also be tension. Arguments over limited supplies. You can't get out, forget about thefts. People are hungry. They're going to try to take what you have. Rumors spreading online. We're reading about all this stuff that's happening online. And there's going to be the fake stuff going on out there. Fear often grows when people don't know what's coming next. Fear is a powerful thing. That's why building a strong community and relationships before emergencies is one of the smartest forms of preparedness. It's good to have, that relationships with your neighbors and stuff. I don't have that around here. So I have to prepare for that. Let's move into food production. There is where small town living may be the advantage, especially in areas where people grow gardens, backyard chickens, fishing equipment, hunting experience, food preservation skills. Could stretch supplies much longer. The goal isn't becoming completely self-sufficient overnight. It's to reduce the dependent you on daily deliveries. Every tomato you grow, every jar you can, every meal you learn to cook from pantry ingredients makes you more or a little bit more resilient. Could your family make it? Could you make it? If not a family, ask yourself these questions honestly. How much food is in your house right now? Plain simple. How much drinking water is in your house? Could you cook if the power went out? Do you have multiple ways of cooking a meal? Do you have backup lighting? Power goes out. Are you banging your toe on the furniture because you can't see? Or do you have lighting? Extra batteries? Do you have, say this happens in the winter, do you have ways of staying warm? Opposite, stay cool. Do you have cash if, the banks stop working or your fancy credit card stops giving you things? Most families aren't prepared because they assume tomorrow will look just like today. We're spoiled. Everything is laid out there for us. All we have to do is just go and get it, so to speak. Preparedness isn't fear. It's responsibility. Here's some steps, and I know there's many more steps you can do with this. This is just the basics. Just simple steps you can take. So if something like this happens, you're somewhat prepared. You don't need thousands of dollars. Start small. Buy a little food every grocery trip. every grocery trip. Store additional water, just not what you're going to drink for the week or the month. Put some back. Make sure you know how to store it. Rotate your pantry. There's nothing wrong with having a pantry meal and using some of that old stuff up and then replace it with some newer. Keep your prescriptions, your medicines, keep it organized. Learn basic first aid. Having a first aid kit doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to use it. In some cases, know your neighbors. I know my neighbors enough to protect what I have. Have backup ways to cook. You may have this one way of cooking. Have multiple ways of cooking in case one is not adequate enough. Keep a few weeks of household supplies. That could be toilet paper, cleaning supplies, to flashlights, to all kinds of stuff. Household supplies. Preparedness grows one decision at a time. Don't try to overthink everything and have 1,000 different things you're trying to do at one time. Just one decision at a time. And we should have learned from all this, from 2020. It could have been a lot worse. What history teaches us, history reminds us that supplies disruptions happen for many reasons. Natural disasters, labor strikes, transportation problems, cyber incidents, pandemics, severe weather. While every event is different, they all highlight the importance of planning ahead instead of waiting until the shelves are already empty. Preparedness isn't about reducing risk. It's about preparing in case of what could happen. So, could your town survive 30 days without, or, supply chain shutdown? Could they? Could you? More importantly. And I want you to honestly think about it, just not, I think I have it, and that knowing it is totally different. Some communities would adapt, especially the smaller ones. Some of the bigger ones, open soup kitchens and whatnot. Could you see half of your city trying to go to one of those soup kitchens? Imagine the lines. And would they have enough to feed everybody? Would you stand in a line for 4 hours to eat a bowl of soup? Or get to the door and they say, we're all out. But one thing is certain. The best time to prepare is before you need to. And preparedness isn't fear or panic. It's about protecting your family, helping your neighbors, and becoming a little bit more self-reliant every single day. I'd like to hear from you guys, though. How long do you think your town, and I'm talking about your town, because that affects you too. Because once they run out, where are they going to start looking? To some of the people that look like they're prepared. people that are growing things in their garden, that kind of thing. Leave your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you hit that button. If you're not subscribed, just hit the button, hit the button. Share the video out with somebody that you think that might needs to hear some of this stuff. Until next time, like always, God bless.